and Palestine and the tensions that had been gathering steam over the course of the last several weeks and months.
The siren has gone off. I don't know if you can hear in the background what's going on. I'm going into the shelter now. So it's a very, very serious situation here across.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh. And on the show today, we'll be taking a look at the biggest story of the moment in India, where a shocking security breach was witnessed earlier this afternoon when two men who had managed to get entrance into the visitors' gallery of the Indian Parliament set off yellow smoke canisters and then began to jump through the benches of the Parliament in a bid to try and get to the well of the House. The question that needs an immediate answer to is, how could such a serious breach of security happen inside the precincts of the Indian Parliament? And also the election rhetoric in Bangladesh is heating up as the AWAMI League has now joined hands with the JATIYA party. But what impact is this likely to have the elections that are slated for next month, as the opposition party, the chief opposition party, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party under Khaleda Zia, has now threatened to boycott the general elections unless there is a non-partisan caretaker government till the 7th of January. At the United States of America, the question that a lot of political pundits are asking is this: will Joe Biden, the incumbent president of the United States, now join the list of American presidents who've been subjected to an impeachment inquiry? The Republicans are gunning to formalize an impeachment inquiry against Joe Biden, and according to the House Speaker Mike Johnson, the Republicans want the impeachment inquiry against Joe Biden because they are committed to the rule of law. But let's of course start this show with a big story from India, where two new chief ministers have been sworn in two different ceremonies. The Bharatiya Janata Party won the state elections in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. The Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh were sworn in today, and the Indian Prime Minister was present in both these ceremonies. Our next report gets you more details.
In the Indian Assembly elections held last month, the Bharatiya Janata Party won 3 key states. It is a winning momentum that India's ruling party wants to retain in these 3 states. When national elections are held less than 6 months from now, the BJP reflected its vision for the 2024 elections in the choice of leaders for these 3 states. Starting with the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh, where Mohan Yadav took oath as the chief minister. In elevating him to the post, the BJP dropped the time-tested 4-term CM Shivraj Singh Chauhan. Yadav, however, is close to the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, or the RSS. The BJP is the political arm of the RSS. 58-year-old Yadav is a 2-term lawmaker in the state and belongs to the other backward classes, or OBC group. That constitutes 48% of the state's population. The BJP will need the support of this group in a big way at the center. Chief Minister Mohan Yadav has 2 deputies, Rajendra Shukla and Jagdish Devda, who took oath as deputy chief ministers of Madhya Pradesh. Notably, both belong to different social groups. Devda is a member from the scheduled castes, and Shukla comes from the traditionally dominant Brahmin community. Both are expected to draw their community's support for the BJP in 2024. The BJP's 1+2 formula was also in play in neighboring Chhattisgarh, where the BJP pulled a surprising victory defeating Congress. In Chhattisgarh as well, the BJP dropped an experienced three-term Chief Minister Raman Singh, and instead named key tribal leader Vishnu Deosai as the Chief Minister. Chhattisgarh is a tribal-dominated state. Sai is a four-time member of parliament from the state and three-time state BJP chief. He also has two deputies, Arun Sai and Vijay Sharma, who were sworn in as deputy chief ministers. Once again, each of them hails from different communities and are expected to garner support for their respective communities in 2024. At the swearing-in ceremonies in both the states, key BJP leaders including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and others were present. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Let's now give you another big story from India where so far at least about 4 people have been arrested due to a serious security breach inside the premises of the Indian Parliament. Now the breach has in fact taken place on the very same day when the Parliament had come under attack 22 years ago, in which 9 people had been killed. Now, the opposition party is demanding for answers. It has launched an all-out attack against the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, and it is demanding how could such a serious breach of security happen inside the house of the Lok Sabha, the lower house of the Indian legislature. And this is what played out. The 2 men who had managed to gain entrance into the visitors' gallery of the Lok Sabha, which is the lower house of the Indian Parliament, suddenly jumped right inside the house. And this at a time when the lawmakers were in fact engaged in the proceedings of the day. The intruders then released some coloured smoke via a canister inside of the chamber of the house, before eventually the security guards and also the other members of parliament joined in and managed to overpower them. They were later taken into custody. The Congress MP Rahul Gandhi and also union ministers Hardeep Singh Puri and Anupriya Patel were present in the house at the time of this breach. Now, a visitor's pass was recovered after the intruders were caught. Photographs of their passes have been obtained, and it indicates that they had been issued by the office of Pratap Simha, the member of parliament from Mysuru, who also is from the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, the intruders were heard raising some slogans and said, "Tanashahi nahi chalegi," which of course means the dictatorship in India must end. The house was adjourned after the shocking events unfolded, and a lot of people have been left utterly and completely shocked as to how such a serious breach of security could happen in the temple of India's democracy.
Suddenly two people from the visitors gallery jumped into the house. They had canisters in their hand. These canisters were emitting yellow smoke. One was attempting to run towards the speaker's chair. He was overpowered by members, and I do not know, they were shouting some slogans which I couldn't make about. But the fact that there were 2 people who could come into the visitors' gallery with canisters which could emit smoke. This smoke could have been toxic, it could have been poisonous, or it could have even been smoke bombs. We do not know. But it emitted an yellow smoke, and this is a serious breach of security, especially on 13th of December, the day in which Parliament was attacked in 2001.
And around the same time, while this was happening inside of the parliament, there were 2 other individuals, a man and a woman, who were detained outside the parliament. They also were carrying these colorized, pressurized canisters that exploded and then spewed red and yellow smoke. The Delhi police have now said that the 2 incidents are related. The Lok Sabha resumed its proceedings after the house was cleared of the intruders.
प्रारंभिक जांच के अंदर जो प्रारंभिक जांच आए वो दोनों लोग पकड़ लिए गए हैं, उनकी सारी सामग्री को जब्त कर लिया गया है और जो 2 लोग बाहर थे उनको भी गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया है.
And the opposition has trained its guns on the Bharatiya Janata Party government. It is asking how could this even be allowed to happen?
that these fellows smuggled in these smoke pistols, which shows a very serious security lapse. Thirdly, that not only did they fire the pistols, they leapt into the floor, they shouted some slogans which are not audible to some of us, but the fact that they did that is better than if they had actually tried to kill people. This is the anniversary of a tragic assault in Parliament where 7 of our people died. I mean, we can't, take these matters lightly. The new building does not seem to be configured very well when it comes to security by comparison with the arrangements in the old building.
Now, the Bharatiya Janata Party and also its leaders have repeatedly emphasized on the importance of having a robust national security apparatus. But the opposition says that the breach that unfolded today just indicates that the government still has a lot to do on the security front, because even the parliament, in fact, was intruded upon. And this is a question that they are asking that the government should immediately answer.
कि वो गुरपत सिंह मानू जो है, जो खालिस्तानी टेररिस्ट है, अमेरिका में बैठा हुआ है, उसने बकायदा ये थ्रेट दिया था कि 13 दिसंबर को पार्लियामेंट अटैक करूंगा मैं। आप फिर भी उस पे हाथ रखे बैठे रहे, आपने सीरियसली नहीं लिया। लास्ट सेशन में इतनी महिलाओं की संख्या को लेकर आ रहे थे, कौन साइन कर रहा था? वो लोग नारेबाजी कर रहे थे मोदी जी के लिए। मैंने तभी भी कहा सिक्योरिटी चेक होनी चाहिए, पुख्ता होनी चाहिए। टेम्पल ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी, इन द मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी पे इस तरीके का हमला होता है, ये दिखाता है सिक्योरिटी ब्रीच है और उस पे कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए।
Now, the ratings agency Fitch has said that it believes that the Indian Prime Minister and also his ruling coalition will win the 2024 polls that are slated to be held in April and May next year. Now, according to the Fitch agency, the likelihood that the Indian Prime Minister will return to power again would actually help the country in maintaining policy continuity, which could further favor the investors. Now, Indian stocks, remember, have rallied in recent sessions following the election results in the key states of the country. The Bharatiya Janata Party, which is Prime Minister Modi's party, had won the elections in the 3 key states, bolstering the belief that the party could actually return to power for a 3rd straight term. Now, early opinion polls have also favoured the Indian Prime Minister of returning to power. Almost half of its rated portfolio in Asia will hold legislative or presidential polls in 2024. But Fitch remains the most optimistic one about its leadership forecast for India. The Prime Minister Modi's government, by its supporters, has been credited for investing in infrastructure, in digital transformation and also in manufacturing, which have made the Asian economy a hotbed for the investors. Now, one of the risks that's keeping the investors on the sidelines of the Indian stock market this year is the political risks stemming from the uncertainty of India's top leadership in the next term. But this is a worry that one believes are being put to rest. Now, Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan and the former Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi have once again been indicted in the Cypher case by a special court. The 2 Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf leaders have in fact pleaded not guilty to their involvement in any offence. Now, they are accused of misusing diplomatic cables for political gain. The duo had been indicted earlier on the 23rd of October in the same case. Imran Khan's lawyer had argued that the proceedings were being conducted in a very haphazard and a hasty manner, adding that the PTI had challenged the previous verdicts which had been issued under the Official Secrets Act in the Islamabad High Court. Last month, after Imran Khan and Shah Mahmood Qureshi had challenged their indictment in the case, the Islamabad High Court had declared their jail trial as null and void, and it had allowed their intra-court appeals in the case. However, the Federal Cabinet has yet again approved the summary holding of the jail trial of both the politicians, following which the trial is continued. Now, the 27th of March in 2022, Imran Khan had waved a letter before a crowd in a rally, and he had claimed that it was a cipher from a foreign nation that had conspired with his political rivals to have the PTI government under him overthrown. He had not expressly revealed the contents of the letter, nor did he mention the name of the nation that this letter, of course, had come from, but it was widely reported that it was the United States, perhaps, which wanted to see off Imran Khan. And just 1 month later, remember, his government had been ousted, the new Federal Cabinet took note of the matter, and the probe, of course, began. Let's now get you some updates from Bangladesh, where there appears to be a lot of political uncertainty that has overshadowed the impending election. The 7th of January polls remain just a few weeks away, and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has hinted that her party, the AWAMI League, may not share any seats with the JATIYA party. Now, Hasina has in fact met with the JATIYA party chief patron, Roshan Irshad, at the Gono Bhavan, and soon after, representatives from both the parties held a meet for what was their third round of talks on seat sharing. At the meeting, Roshan Irshad urged the Prime Minister not to join hands with her faction, claiming that the chairman, GM Khader, had forcibly taken over the party. Now, this is the first time in 27 years that Roshan Irshad will not be running. She has also denied support for JP nominees, saying that they have intentionally removed her from the race altogether. Now, this infighting within the ranks has raised a lot of doubt about the JATIYA party's presence in the polls. Remember, the AWAMI League's main opponent, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, is already nowhere in the picture after it has decided to boycott the elections, saying that these elections are neither going to be fair nor are they going to be independent. The global leaders have repeatedly called for dialogue between the AWAMI League and the BNP, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, to ensure an inclusive and a credible election, but that has seen little headway due to reluctance, predominantly from the AWAMI League. With just about 24 days to go, the question, of course, is, will the opposition be able to pull off a miracle and put an end to Sheikh Hasina's 15-long-year rule, or is this going to be another election where the opposition has boycotted the polls and therefore the incumbent government has got no opposition to fight? In the United States of America, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives is expected to vote shortly to formalize its impeachment inquiry against the sitting president, Joe Biden. Now, this voting is expected to take place behind closed doors, and our next report gets you more details as to whether Joe Biden will now be joining a list of American presidents who faced an impeachment inquiry. Take a look.
Joe Biden has repeatedly lied to the American people about his family's corrupt influence peddling schemes. Our investigation has revealed how Joe Biden, you participated in and benefited from his family cashing in on the Biden name around the world.
The U.S. House of Representatives will vote shortly to formalize the impeachment inquiry of President Joe Biden. The inquiry has been in the works since September 12th. When former U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy unilaterally launched a probe against Biden in a House dominated by Republicans. At the time, the move was seen as an attempt to appease conservative hardliners, who were on the verge of a revolt against McCarthy's leadership. It was met with a backlash from Democrats and the White House. But now, new Speaker Mike Johnson argues that they have no choice but to hold a vote. Johnson also claimed that the White House is obstructing the Republicans' investigation.
These are serious times, and this is a very serious matter. And I've said many times over the last few years, because impeachment has been an issue that we've all become all too familiar with, that next to the declaration of war, you can make an argument that impeachment may be the heaviest power that Congress holds. That constitutional responsibility lies with the House. We have a duty to pursue the facts where they lead.
The impeachment is based on 4 allegations. First, that President Biden lied about his role in the Biden family schemes abroad. Second, that he profited from his family's business dealings. Third, that President Biden acted corruptly in urging the ouster of a Ukrainian prosecutor during the Obama administration. And fourth, that President Biden has obstructed Congress and interfered with law enforcement investigations into his son, Hunter Biden. Reports based on publicly available information state that none of the 4 allegations hold water. Republican leaders believe that formalizing the inquiry will strengthen their subpoena power to obtain more documents and testimony against President Biden. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Just days after taking oath as Argentina's president, Javier Milei has now taken his very first steps in implementing his shock therapy program. After warning that the economic crisis in Argentina will actually worsen first before it gets better for the people, he's now announced the depreciation of the Argentinian peso by 54% and has also revised its crawling peg. Now, the government has also planned some significant spending cuts to reduce what it describes as a budget deficit next year. But the question is, what does it mean for the Argentinian people? Will it make their life better or will it change it for the worse? Our next one gets more details.
Argentina on Tuesday said it is devaluing its currency, the peso, by over a half. It's part of a series of measures coming days after new libertarian President Javier Milei assumed office that his government says aim to salvage the country's deteriorating economy. Other measures include cutting energy and transport subsidies, as well as a halt to seeking contracts for public works. New Economy Minister Luis Caputo.
As I said before, there is no money to pay for more public infrastructure, which, as we all know, often ends up in the pockets of politicians and business people. Public works have always been one of the main sources of state corruption, and with us, that will end.
Caputo said the plan would be painful in the short term, but was necessary to cut the fiscal deficit and bring down triple-digit inflation. He added Argentina had recorded a fiscal deficit for 113 of the last 123 years, which he said was the cause of the country's economic woes. Its latest inflation rate stands at nearly 150%. The economic package was welcomed by the International Monetary Fund, which loaned Argentina $44 billion last year. Now the key doubt is whether Milei's coalition, which is only the third largest bloc in Congress, can implement the ambitious cuts. Credit rating company Fitch said in a Monday commentary that Milei's party has little representation in the legislature, adding alliances with more influential parties remain in flux.
Let's also now take a quick look at some of the other political developments from across the globe. The Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that he'll make some changes to his cabinet. He's struggling to stem the fallout from a fundraising scandal that has further dented public support for his embattled administration. The Premier has told a press conference that he would make the changes on Thursday, just 3 months after a previous cabinet overhaul, where the cabinet chief Hirakozu Matsuno, a powerful figure in Kishida's administration, is said to be among the 4 ministers and several deputy ministers who are expected to go. Meanwhile, in Taiwan, there are reports that say that the military had driven away at least about 4 attempts by the Chinese to approach the island-sensitive contiguous zone last month. The Taiwanese officials have said that this, of course, is a serious issue as a ramped-up Chinese campaign to intimidate voters before the key elections. And Taiwanese officials have repeatedly warned that China is actually now trying to sway the voters towards candidates who are seeking closer ties with Beijing. And Taiwan, remember, is set to go to polls on the 13th of January. One of the main opposition candidates for Congo's presidential elections next week has suspended part of his campaign after violence in one of his rallies. The live rounds were fired and several people reportedly were injured as Moise Katumbi addressed his supporters in the coastal town of Moanda earlier in the week. So as the December 20th elections come close, tensions are on the rise in the country, and many people are, of course, watching as to who, of course, will emerge victorious in these elections in Congo. And that's all the time we have in this edition of Race to Power tonight. But just as we go, we'll leave you with these images from the Indian Parliament, where an incident of security breach has sent shockwaves. The dramatic moment saw members of the lower house of the Parliament come together and trade a few blows on the man, but managed to get inside the Parliament's house and also set off that smoke canister. We'll leave you with these images in our section that is known as the Power Play Visual of the Day. Thanks for watching.
We are one.